If God created everything, does that mean he created the devil? The question walks out of classrooms and into hospital halls. It sits beside the news at night. If all things come from God, what do we do with evil? What do we do with a rebel who resists God at every turn? Begin with a straight line. God made, and what he made was good. Sky good, land good. People good, angels good. Evil is not a brand new substance God assembled. Evil is the twisting of what is good. Not a thing, but a corruption. Not a rival creation, but a wound in the fabric. The devil was not created as the devil. He was created as a good spiritual being, gifted with splendor, capacity, and trust. He received grace like every creature. He also received the dignity of choice. That dignity is not a flaw in God's design. It is the condition for real love. Love must be able to say yes. Love must be able to refuse. Obedience must be willing, or it is not obedience. At some point, pride rose within him. A hunger to be higher. A hunger for glory that was not his. A hunger to lead apart from his maker. That was the beginning of revolt. He fell from his station. He drew others into his treason. From then on, he is called the enemy. Not because God forged a wicked essence, but because he vandalized the gift he had been given. Here comes the common pushback. If God made everything, does evil belong in the everything? Remember what evil is. Evil is not a solid object stacked on the shelf of being. Evil is the lack of good that ought to be there. Like a hole in a cloth, like rotten fruit. The cloth is woven by the artisan. The hole is not the artisan's stitch. The fruit is a good creation. The rot is the loss of its goodness. So God is the author of being and beauty, not the author of evil. Yes, God is sovereign. He knows all. He governs history, including the rebellion of his creatures. But permission is not affection. Permission is not approval. Permission is the space where creaturely freedom is tested and judged. In that space, God's justice and mercy are revealed on time. Why not remove the possibility of fall from the start? Because a world that cannot refuse, cannot love. You can build a doll that nods on cue. Its nod will never count as love. God chose a higher way. He made beings who can know, adore, and obey freely. The risk was real, but to perfect love, the risk was worth it. Does this mean the devil runs wild without a fence? No, he is a creature, not a co-equal rival. Not a dark twin, not all-knowing, not all-powerful, not everywhere. He moves only as far as God allows. He deceives, accuses, tempts, and harms. But the line of God's authority holds. Even his malice becomes material in God's hands for a greater good. Look at the cross. Hatred gathered its partners. Leaders, crowds, and a traitor. The devil aimed to silence the way and the life. But the cross became God's crown. Death was swallowed by resurrection. The last arrow failed. What was meant as an ending became the beginning of hope. There we learn, God does not invent evil, but he overrules evil with a wiser love. So what does this mean for us? First, stop the quiet accusation against God. When you face evil, do not charge the Maker with cruelty. The root of evil rises from the creature's heart, not from God's heart. Second, take your freedom seriously. You are not only a victim of forces. You choose, and choices carry weight. Third, admit that the enemy is real. Be alert, but do not panic. Christ has overcome. How does this land on ordinary days? Do not blame the devil for every small failure. Own your sin. Refuse to play with darkness. Guard your mind. Guard your speech. Guard your relationships. Pray steady prayers. Feed on truth. Practice small acts of love. This is how you frustrate the enemy at the level of kitchens and offices. There is a line of hope too. The devil is not the last word. He does not own the ending. He is headed for judgment. He is headed for loss. God is not a distant watcher. He is the Lord of history. He lifts his people beyond every accusation. He gathers all things under Christ. A final why still lingers. Why did God make beings who could fall? The short answer, because love requires freedom. The long answer, because through misused freedom, God displays deeper grace. Through wounds, he shows deeper healing. Through the cross, he shows the height of love. Through the empty tomb, he announces new birth. Consider a simple picture. A violin is crafted for harmony. Notes turn sour when the player defies the composer. Yet the composer can rewrite, restore, and fold the dissonance into a grand resolve. The sour tone is not the instrument's design. It is the misuse of freedom. So it is with evil. And God, the great composer, writes the resolve through the Redeemer. This truth trains our mouths and hands. Mouths that refuse to slander God in the storm. Mouths that confess when we sin. Mouths that rebuke evil without hate. Hands that tend the wounded. Hands that close the door on compromise. Hands that sow peace where conflict grows. This is how we tell the world that light is still at work. Guard one more balance. Do not shrink the devil into a joke. Do not swell him into a second God. Hold a steady middle. Honor the reality of spiritual war. Honor the reality of Christ's victory. With that balance, we are neither cocky nor crushed. We bow our heads and we keep our courage. Here is the clear finish. God did not create the devil as a devil. He created a good being who chose rebellion. Evil is not a co-equal creation, but a corruption of the good. God hates evil, permits freedom, and conquers evil through redemption. The enemy is real, but not sovereign. Christ has won, and his victory shapes our days. Repent, keep watch, and hope. The good Creator is also the faithful Redeemer.